YouTube, this is Jeff from FLE Reptiles, and I just wanted to give you guys some tips on how I collect my eggs. Now I have some pretty large enclosures. These are the Exoterras, the 36 by 18 by 36. This is the largest enclosure they make. I have 3 of these, and I have different pairings of females in each of the enclosures, and I have my males separated over here, but I usually put in 1 male per enclosure. Now on the bottom, I keep, actually it's like an indoor-outdoor carpet. It's actually safe for pets. I cut that out to the same size of the actual enclosure, and it makes it really easy. It's a lot easier to maintain and cost effective, better than using the cocoa fiber. One thing I didn't like about the cocoa fiber was it held in the humidity real well, but the bad thing about it was my geckos were laying their eggs in it, and then you can't find them. And you got to go digging through a fairly large enclosure trying to search where your female laid their eggs. So I have a misting system in here. I don't have to worry about humidity. It goes off several times a day. So what I did is I used the carpet, and instead of having the cocoa fiber throughout the bottom of the cage, I just put in these little tubs full of sphagnum moss for each of the females. And I keep these down. And the beauty part about it is the females know they need to lay their eggs in a nice damp spot. So they'll get in here when they're ready to lay, and they never lay it on the carpet. They always make it in the box. So the good thing is when you know your female's gravid, you just check these boxes every day, and usually the eggs will always end up right here on the bottom, and you'll be able to see just by, picking it up while you're squirting it down and misting it and making sure it's staying moist. You'll be able to notice those eggs right there on the bottom. Then you can, get those out and get those in the proper material so you can incubate. And I'll go ahead and show you guys exactly what I do once I collect the eggs. This is actually what I will put my eggs in once I collect them. One good thing about it is you'll notice the color. This over here is actually some that has been wet and actually has eggs in it. Now, before this is wet, this is the color it'll be. So you'll want to make sure that you get it moist, but you don't want it so wet that it's, just dripping water. So here's what we do. I just go ahead and I just kind of mist it down, and you'll notice that the calcinated clay will change color when it gets wet. And I'll just mix it up a bit, and I'm not getting it too wet, just enough to, get it to change color. And I'll kind of check the bottom, make sure that, it's not totally soaking through on the bottom. Once I get it about there, I'll kind of mix it up and let it, that should be just about right. And then what I do next is I will take some eggs, like what I already have here, and I'll just make little divots with my finger about the size of the eggs, one next to each other, and then I'll take the eggs and I'll just place the egg right down in the little divots, just so it doesn't roll around. And I always put the date when it was laid, and I keep those all in my incubator. And I always make sure that I rotate and keep the old estates on top and the new estates go on bottom. So I always keep my incubator at 70 degrees. What that does is that'll keep the crested geckos in the egg longer, and you'll find they will usually stay in for about anywhere from 90 to 120 days at that temperature, and that'll produce bigger, healthier crested geckos with larger crowns, bigger heads, and that's definitely something that you want when you're breeding crested geckos. So what I do is I check them every day when I know it's getting to be about that time when they should start to hatch. And I'll usually take the eggs out and I'll set them on the counter. That way all day long the whole family can kind of walk by whatever they're doing and kind of take a look. And we usually always pretty good about catching when the babies first, pop out. And once the first egg ends up hatching, we will put it in our little holding tubs, and then we'll usually take the other egg that hasn't hatched yet, and we will stick that in the tub with the lid open, because that egg will usually hatch within 2 days, usually the same day, maybe the day after. So I have a little guy, he's hiding back there in the grass. He hatched yesterday, and this little guy right here who just came out of the egg, it's about 24 hours later. Here's this little guy here. He's literally probably no more than 6-7 hours out of the egg. So one more tip for you. When you guys are looking for media to incubate your eggs, this I find is probably some of the best media. And basically what it is, it's calcinated clay, and it's the same exact stuff that if you were to buy Hatch Right, which is a pretty popular brand. My only tip would be, I can leave a link in the description. If you just buy it as the calcinated clay, it's going to be a lot cheaper, like probably 1/4 of the cost. Because when you're buying it as Hatch Right, that's associated with Reptiles, and then they charge you a premium. You buy it the other way, and you're going to get it a lot cheaper in bigger quantities. Alrighty, so I'll leave a link in the description for that. Just a little tip to save you guys some money.